Next up is an epic entrepreneur, a mother, an advocate, an actress, and a best-selling author. And her name is Jessica Alba. And she's joined us here to talk about her story, her commitment to clean beauty. You've probably seen the amazing, honest products out in our area of product love, and I've seen many of you guys enjoying them. So we will welcome her to the stage. You've been a pioneer in many things, in particular in clean beauty, which is many of the women we serve here at BlogHer are focused on producing content, producing sustainable products, and advancing kind of some cultural norms through the businesses they build. So how did you, coming from a space of successful actress, decide that you were going to address this space in the market, beginning with the first honest ideas?
So I had the idea to create the Honest Company after I had an allergic reaction to a baby laundry detergent about 11 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child. And my mother was like, this is what you have to use. And after I had this allergic reaction, I called my mom up, and I was like 9 months pregnant. And I was like, Mom, how dare you tell me to use this? I had an allergic reaction. I have welts all over my hands. You know I'm not trying to take medicine. And she's like, you asked me for my advice. You're hormonal. When you're done yelling at me, call me back. And I was like, but Mom, what's in this stuff? And I learned that there are lots of untested, potentially harmful chemicals in everyday products, even in baby products. And I learned about the way that chemicals are regulated in this country, and basically a lack of oversight in comparison to Europe. So just to give you a stat, at the time there were like 11 chemicals that were banned in personal care in the United States, and there were over 1,100 banned in Europe because they weren't proven safe for human health. So I was like, well, that's crazy. It shouldn't be so hard to put together like my basic needs for my baby and for myself, and everything that you put on your skin, everything that you are cleaning your home with, everything you put on that baby actually affects the baby's health over time. And so I was like, can there just be products that I can trust that have safe and clean ingredients? And when I was trying to shop around the problem, I went to the alternative grocery stores and things like that. It was crazy expensive, really hard to shop for, and I felt like I needed to be somebody I wasn't. Not that I don't like doing yoga, I mean, I'm totally into it, but like everything was beige and cream and hemp. And there's just like a certain, burlap has like a certain scent profile. And it's just like a real specific thing. And I was like, can it be cool and fun and beautiful, but also have clean ingredients? And also, when I was trying to find an alternative, I was like, I'm just gonna make my own stuff. So then I just made everything with baking soda and like vinegar. And my husband was like, why does our house smell like salad dressing? Like, I'm so confused. And it didn't really clean. So that was the idea, that was the impetus. And I gotta create a company that makes products that have clean ingredients, that actually work, that won't break the bank, and that are cute. And so that's the Honest Company.
So clean for not hippie, hemp, poor-smelling products is exciting, I think. I think that's all.
No, I'm all for like plant-based diets and the whole thing, but like, it's just,
you want it to smell good. It's a product.
It needs to still feel good and smell good. Yeah, and I felt like it was just a space that could be innovated on.
Right.
And I also actually lobbied for chemical reform on Capitol Hill, and I was really frustrated with just that whole process. And I was like, gosh, if the government isn't going to protect us, then I've got to create the solution. And so that's really where it came from.
Well, that's pretty amazing. And so it sounds like the entrepreneurial fire was in there, and we often talk within our community about this path from passion to purpose to profit, and we believe strongly that women should be profiting, and that we should lean into the business opportunities. It sounds like you went from here's a problem to I need to solve it for myself and for my family to I'm going to solve it for a lot of people to policy, which is pretty amazing. How did you decide that you were, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't all at once, but can you tell us about the process of going from there's a product I need to I want to solve this market opportunity? Was it about business? Was it about moms?
Yeah, I mean, it was like there weren't any other options out there, and there really wasn't a company that stood for transparency in this way, the clean ingredients, this powerful performance, and beautiful design, and then having a community and a direct relationship with the consumer. And so that was another thing that I felt was something that I wanted. I felt so alone when I was pregnant with my first daughter. I was 27. I wasn't planned. It happened. And it was the best thing that ever happened, but I was like really overwhelmed with this new thing. And I feel like having community, especially around that time in your life, is important. And even after I just had my third baby, I can still say I just had him. He's 7 months old. I still feel like that. Not quite back into my clothes yet. But after my third kid, even that time when you're going through pregnancy and having the baby, it feels really lonely. So I think community is also something that is super important. How did I go from this idea to actually doing a thing? I put together a lot of like collages initially, and then it came down to like product category. It was almost like I created Pinterest boards, versions of Pinterest boards, and then made like I literally had like a binder, and I was like home, baby, beauty, personal care, cleaning products. So I had all of these different types of products, and then I had the design aesthetic that I wanted, and then I had the values that I wanted attached to each product category, and then I wanted to give back. And so my husband was like, this is really overwhelming. Like, I'm so confused. Like, how is this gonna be a business? And I was like, well, we're gonna make stuff. And he's like, but where, how? Like, you can't just like do that. So he was like, you need a business plan. And I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, well, you need to hire someone or join someone that can write the business plan around your idea. And I was like, okay. So I went and I met with a lot of different people that did different things in business, and I got a lot of people telling me for like 3 years that I was cuckoo bananas. And then finally, after the second time that I pitched to this one guy, 18 months later, I pitched him again. My like 100-page deck turned into like a 10-pager, and he could sort of wrap his head around it. And he had had his first kid and was on his second kid, and his wife threw out everything in their house. And he was like, I think you might be onto something. And he joined me, and that's how I got my, the business off the ground. But it was a lot of tears, frustration, binders filled with images, collages, the whole thing. And a lot of people telling me that it was impossible and there was no way. I was an actress. What did I know about starting a business? And I think you just have to like persevere, and you have to know that no matter what, you have to get what you need to get done to move your business to that next stage and that next level. And I didn't know that as much as the big vision and the end goal is important, the baby steps to get there are even more important. So being patient, being humble, and knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. I think that was one of the most enlightening things. And so I leaned into what I was good at. The things where I wasn't as strong at, like human resources and like paying the bills. Not good at that stuff. So I found business partners that are really good at that stuff.
And sounds like you're very good at running a business overall, and I think everyone would agree that a big part of that is having the humility and to understand which areas you are strong in and which ones you're not, finding the partners you can trust in order to propel the business forward. And I think a lot of people in the room are starting businesses on Pinterest boards here. We had their co-founder of Pinterest this morning talking about that very thing. So it's an interesting it's a neat link to what the digital content creators here do. Now, so moving to, I still feel like there's this. I feel like
By
there's
the way, I
this.
still totally like have Pinterest boards. Like whenever we're doing new packaging or new seasons, they're there, and I love that they're private now, so you can have like private Pinterest boards. Anyway, that's good. I digress.
That's your album. So, there must be some. It's pretty amazing to hear how you push this business forward. Did you ever feel like you weren't being? You mentioned being an actress. You might not have been taken seriously, and it's such a now. Of course, in retrospect, it's like totally makes sense. Great marketplace. You know, millennials coming of age. Gateway drug to sustainability is often having children. So, when you were not taken seriously, what did you do?
Well, gosh, I feel like for a long time, because I partnered with a guy who created the business model. He actually created the business model of e-commerce subscriptions. And he had partnered with 2 celebrities for his other 2 businesses. And so everyone thought that it was his business idea, and then I was like the face of the company, and I just got this little percentage of the company. They didn't understand that it was the other way around. Wow. And so for a long time, I just was fine with it, because I was like, you know what? I don't really care. Like, give me the money. And like, we're gonna go and run this, and I'm just gonna do this on the DL. And then I didn't realize until probably about 3 years ago how important it is for women to see someone like me who came from Pomona, California. My parents were teenagers and they got pregnant. I grew up in a Mexican family. My dad was in the military. My parents had 3 jobs each my whole life. There was no way in hell I was gonna be successful at anything outside of the neighborhood store or the neighborhood whatever. And the fact that I had the audacity to dream and think that I could eventually be a leading lady, and that people like me would want to be represented on the big screen like that. Like, what was I thinking? And the fact that I actually became successful through all the odds. No one was rooting for me. I didn't have like agents lining up and excited to give me opportunities. I didn't have like people saying like, oh my God, you're so amazing. I had everyone telling me, no way, there's no way you're gonna be successful. And I just freaking pushed through, and I made it happen. And I think that, I don't know, I think that representation as a business leader now is just as important as it was in entertainment. And I didn't realize that until 3 years ago.
Well, it's amazing, and you must have a strong parent in there somewhere to give you the confidence and the fortitude, because that sounds really hard. It does not sound easy.
Yeah, no, my parents were always, thing is, when you start from the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. And so, like, in a weird way, it gave me a fearlessness. But my parents were always like, work harder than everyone else and learn about everything that you don't know. So I learned business acumen. I actually know about the P&L. I actually know about distribution. I know about supply chain. I know about operations. I know about, sourcing raw materials, making stuff, making it in bulk, doing small batching. We have our labs in our offices now, because I know how difficult it is to deal with co-packers and co-manufacturers and them stealing your formulas. Like, I learned through trial and error, but I'm curious and I stay open and I learn, and my parents encourage that curiosity.
That's great. Very impressive. So we talked about this a little bit, but as we were talking earlier, I realized you're like a massive business wonk, a total geek, in addition to being a lovely human. So on the side that is running the business, we talk about with our community about the combination of passion, purpose, and profit. And sometimes those things are at odds. Sometimes the right thing to do for the customers you serve or the environment is not going to be the most profitable choice for the business. It seems like you've stayed on a pretty good path. How do you contemplate what might be a margin compression where you might have to take less?
I think if the majority of your portfolio is, within the margin range, that it won't really screw up your numbers, then you can choose a couple of categories or a couple of SKUs where, you know what, maybe you don't have the greatest margin profile on it, but you should just do it because it's the right thing to do. And I think that also goes with giving back. We've donated over 16 million products and over 15,000 employee hours. And that's super important. And, you know, especially when you start a business and you're not profitable, to just know that that's just part of who we are and part of the DNA. You have to do that. You have to give back. That was just something where I held my ground. And so, yeah, sometimes you have to make some compromises, but I think overall you have to have a path to profitability, and you can't have too many things that are not going to allow you to meet your numbers, or your board's going to get really mad.
Yep, and that doesn't help any of us. If women entrepreneurs are not extremely successful in making the right business decisions, that doesn't help any of us. And I think it's a great point that I hadn't thought of, is the diversified portfolio allows you to have one for me, one for you. That's a great point. So moving towards your employees, because I know that you have a lot of them and that they are very happy. How do you think about family leave, or about policies and practices within your business to ensure that you're carrying on that social mission there as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, I'm going to say, I had the idea of the business with my first kid, and then my second kid was 4 months old. I was actually pregnant raising money, and she was 4 months old when I started the company. And then I just had my third, and every time I went back to work, I cried, and it sucked. And every time I stopped breastfeeding, I mean, I don't even, like, if I start talking about it too much, I'm gonna fall apart. It's the worst. And so I just know what a fragile time it is for parents. And so we do 16 weeks paid leave for women, and we do 8 weeks paid leave for men. So that's. And then we also just work with our folks, and as they ease back into work, maybe it doesn't start full time. Maybe it's 3 days a week until they get their child care together, they feel more comfortable, and we work with them on that. And then I also I built a really beautiful nursing space so that moms who are coming back to work, we have like medical grade pumps and refrigerators and couches, and it's like you can do it with dignity. I mean, I pumped in the back of so many disgusting cars, bathrooms, and you know, it's like it's something that should be celebrated and not shameful. And so I try to create an environment for that.
So this is, I know we could talk to you forever, but that like thing is, that timer is screaming at me.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna ask, so thank you.
Yeah,
It's such an
thank you for having
inspiration
me.
I mean, I think we all can agree that we're really lucky that people show up for us and do it, you know, on a dime, and show up for us on our stage and share their stories to inspire all of the women that we serve here in our 20,000 person community of bloggers and creators. Next, really quickly, Jessica agreed super generously and late stage to announce the winner of the pitch, which you guys all voted for. You all voted for. We got lots of votes. We heard from a whole.
So the audience voted for the winner here, and the grand prize is?
The grand prize is $50,000 worth of advertising from She Knows Media, and a brain trust dinner hosted by my dear friend, and you guys saw her earlier, from MSNBC, JJ Ramberg, where we are going to amass 20 women, leaders in the industry, to give professional advice and become mentors.
That's so helpful.
Totally ask you to be one of them.
Yeah, I'm down.
So you know. Yep.
Yes. So the winner of the pitch is Partake Foods' Denise Woodard.
Yes. I know, it's so exciting. So that concludes with an amazing setup of two entrepreneurs who both hustled up from a place of not endless opportunity, and both of whom are addressing needs that have been set by moms and insistence on clean, healthy products for their kids, for the world, for the environment. So You rock. We'll talk later. Thanks so much. Thank you, Jessica, also. We'll let you go, and we'll get you.
Thank you guys so much for having me.